Hello, my internet family. Thank you so much for being here. I've tried doing this video so many times, and hopefully this one will come out okay. If so, this is what you'll see. But I thank you for being here because that tells me that you, like myself, think there's more to this Bible thing than what we've been told. And it's revealing itself, and I think that's because it's time. I had said that I would come here and speak a bit about how I became passionate about this topic, and so that's what I'm going to do because I did not set out to speak about this at all. So let me just take you through an experience that I had that led me to speaking about this. I'm going to take you back a ways to my husband and I had been married for about 20 something years, a little over 20 years, and he became very ill, and he was diagnosed with cancer. So at that point, he went through the radiation, the chemo, the different treatments, and as he, got worse, he became homebound, and at that point, he had asked that I read the Bible to him. Now, this was not anything out of the ordinary because my husband and I had been a part of our church congregation for many, many years. And we had, we attend Sunday school, Bible study, worship service, every song session that went on. We did this. This was like a normal practice for us. And so we studied our lessons together. We read the Bible together. So this wasn't unusual, but this is the request that he had at this point where he was not able to do anything. So reading the Bible was a request that he had, and that's what I did. So I was going to go straight to the New Testament and read the Sermon on the Mount, or something that I knew that we read often or that he would like to hear. And he said to me, "Do you mind starting from the beginning?" So I was like, okay, let's just start from the beginning. And I go to the beginning of the Bible and just start at Genesis and start reading through it. And even from the start of this, as I'm reading, I see things that I didn't see before. Now, let me tell you this. Like I said, we've studied since extensively. My husband was raised in the church. I was raised in the church, and together we were in the church. But upon reading the book this time, I saw things that I didn't see before. And I'm not sure of the reason for that, except that I'm reading it unfiltered at this point. In the past, when we've studied, we've used our Sunday school books or our Wednesday night Bible study books or any piece of literature that we were given for a special event that we were having. We've always studied with some kind of guide. So there's always been some kind of literature beside us with the Bible. And at this point, I'm reading it unfiltered. And that's the only explanation that I have for that. So I'm reading it to my husband. And even from the beginning, when I'm reading the two creations, and I've never looked at it as two creations before, I've always read it with the eyes of, this is the same creation, just written by two different people, or those are the things that we were told in the church, or this is the same creation, just two perspectives of that. And so that's what we've always been told, and I've always read it with that in mind. Not this time. This was totally different. So this time I am reading the Bible, and like I said, unfiltered, and everything stands out. And that's why I say it was handed to me. Everything was just there. And oddly so, because it was there before. I just didn't see it. And so I'm reading it to my husband. And I have this desire to talk to him about it because we've always studied together. Except I knew that I couldn't do that. I knew and he knew that this was the end of this life cycle for him. And so I didn't mention this to him. I just read to him as he asked. But I'm telling you, as I made my way through this book, everything that never stood out before stood out to me. So I just read the book. And it was a bit frightening because I wasn't sure why I was saying something different, and because I could not have this conversation with my husband. So it was frightening in the fact that I had to hold on to it. I had to hold on to it. And but anyway, that's what I did. Now, now, upon my husband's passing, I put the book down. I put it down. Um, I just put it down. I put church down. I put the book down. I put it all down, and I put it down for a long time, not just for a minute. I put it down for a couple of years. But my spirit or soul or my God or whatever you want to call it kept drawing me to that book and saying, you've got to read it. You've got to finish it. You've got to understand it. It kept telling me that there was something that was different and I needed to know it. And so I picked the book up. But like I said, that didn't happen overnight. But I did go back to it and I did read. But every time I read this book, it was the hardest thing ever. And I tell you why. Call it PTSD, I don't know. But it was an experience to get through this book, because every time I would read it, let me just take you back to my husband being ill. The hospital bed is here in the house. There's a machine connected, and it disperses the TPN, or the nutrients that my husband needs to survive. It's like a baby formula type stuff that comes through because he's not able to eat. So this has to go into him so that he can survive. He's unable to drink or to swallow, so I had to give him a sponge, put the sponge in his mouth for water. Whenever he's thirsty, he has the sponge that I'm giving him. And there's medication around the clock. There's nurses coming and going. There's delivery of medication coming through the door. There's a lot going on. There's a lot going on. When I picked it up again to read it, this may be why I was avoiding it so much, is because it puts me back in that setting. It brings me back to that experience. And just reading it, I would hear the click, 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 click of the machine as it is, calculating the formula into his body. And, even the odor of the TPN, which is the formula itself. Just everything that was this experience would come back to me with this book. And so I'm talking to God, and I talk to God the way I talk to you right now. I just say what I say, and I think He hears me. But I'm talking to God, and I always have done it this way. And I'm saying, God, what do you want me to do with this? What do you want me to do with it? And if you want me to do something with it, why are you making it so hard? I wanted an answer. I still don't know the answer to that. But it was a hard thing to do. It was a hard thing to do, to get through. And so that's what I did. I read through it with, I want to call pain. I don't know what else to call it. Fear. I don't know. Or both. And it was just a revelation for me. I mean, everything that I read just fit. It just fit our lives, and I was taken aback. And so I began to talk about this with anybody who would listen, and just talk about it. I tried talking about it with some of the people from my church. At this point, I didn't go back to church. I was pretty much through with it, because I realized that it wasn't true. That religion wasn't a true thing, and it had been revealed to me in the scripture. And so I tried talking about it to some of the members of the congregation that I was once associated with. But of course, they didn't want to hear this. They thought I'd lost my mind. So I would talk about it with anybody who would listen. And so because it was such a revelation for me. So at one point, I'm at a gathering, and the host of this event, had invited myself and a number of other ladies, just a bunch of us ladies together. And we're talking and we're laughing and we're sipping wine, and there's conversations, just going on. And this is my topic of conversation because I'm consumed by it at this point. And I'm having this conversation, and I'm talking about Jacob and Esau, and I'm talking about how we're represented in the Bible as Jacob, and how they're represented as Esau, and the how we've lived under the umbrella as being the beast, and being from monkey or from ape, and they have lived our life of being the natural born creation of the Most High. And so, and I'm telling this story, and I'm saying how they are actually, because of the trading of places or the reversal of birthright, they are actually the beast. And so I'm having this conversation, and a lot of people are engaged. And this one particular young lady, she's very engaged. She's so engaged that she has question after question after question. And I'm loving it. And I just talk about this. And so that conversation ends, and another conversation picks up. And this is just how the evening went. It was a very good time, just ladies being ladies. And so a couple of days pass, and the host of this event, which is a friend of mine, as I said, sends me an email by way of this young lady, because I didn't know this young lady. I had actually met her that night, that evening. And so I didn't know her. And so she sent me this email via the host, and she says, Miss Deborah, you are on to something here. I want you to take a look at this. And the video she sent me, I use it all the time. It's the one where the man is shaving the monkey. And she goes on in the email to say, I was thinking of this video as you were speaking, but I didn't know if I would be able to find it or not. But I was recalling it in my mind as you were talking. And so that's kind of how her email read. And she says, well, you're on to something. I clicked on that video, and it was just a real reveal, because this was them. And it made the Bible make sense. It made my world make sense. It made the things we had gone through make sense. It just solidified what I had read in the Bible. It solidified that for me. And from that point on, I just went all in and started researching and digging, and just found information after information to just coordinate the things that were going on in the book, line them right up. It all lines up. And that's why one of my favorite videos is the video where it shows the comparisons, because how people can see that and not realize that we've been lied to, I don't know. I don't know how we can see that and think that the white man is right in telling us about our God. I just don't know. But so many of us are so consumed by what we've been told that we don't want to let go. It's hard to let go. And then I always have to remind myself that we don't all come into conscience at the same time. And that's by design. It's not, I don't think that's a mistake. I think that's just by design. And so that's kind of how I got started with this. That's pretty much it. I'm passionate about it. I think that we should all just sort of dive in and start researching it and reading it and learning it. And once we do that, start teaching it, writing it. I mean, we can all write it. We can all teach it. We can all, because the more people who know, the better off we are. I think this is just the first reveal. I do believe it's from God. I think it's just the first of many reveals. And he had to start somewhere. A big takeaway from this book for me is that every God works through their creation. Our God works through us. And that's why he was so upset with us, because we didn't listen. We don't listen. Even now, we don't listen. They listen to their God. That's why they kill us. That's why they hate us. That's why their God instructs them, and they listen. That's why they're ramming battle axe against a Capitol building. That's why they're running around talking about you can't teach this in school and you can't have these books. Their God is fighting to stay on top. And their God uses them for that fight, because that's what they do. And that's why God kept saying, you don't listen to me. He tells us that over and over again. You're not listening to me. I can't fight this battle without you. And I know there are plenty of people who say, well, God doesn't need us. God can do any and everything. God works through his people. Believe that. Read the story of Samson. Read it. And then you'll understand what I'm saying. I think every story will explain it to you, but that one is a good one to get started with so you can understand God works through people. And if people don't listen, then he has to do something different. He has to do something different. I didn't know what to do with this. I still don't know if I'm doing the right thing with it, but I feel if I didn't listen, he would have to do something different. I'm one channel. I am just one vice that God is using. I'm nothing in this, but do I think he's using? Yes, because I think this was handed to me and I was supposed to do something with it, and here I am talking to you about it. So when we read in the book that God tells Moses, or that God's talking to Samson, or that God is talking to Joseph, it's because he needs people in order to get things done. He needs people. Now, don't misunderstand me. You don't have to tell me that he has all power and he doesn't need us. He gave us this experience so that we can understand that he needs us and we need him. We're nothing about our God. We can see that because we could not win with these people. Now that our God is back, we're winning. And I'm going to have to do a video introducing you to your God. A lot of people don't know their God is back because they're looking for this to happen. This is not going to happen. This is foolishness. God has already told us how he's coming back, but that's a different video. I'm going to stop right here. But that has been my experience. That is what led me to this. It has been a struggle to get through it, but I do feel that it was something that God was doing. I don't know how else to look at that. And if I don't know now, but farther along will understand it. And so I'm going to do the best I can to talk about it and to write it and to speak on it. If there's an event where somebody wants me to speak, I'm going to speak. Whatever there is to get the word out, and whatever I can do to have the next person follow in the footsteps and take the information and take it further and further. Because I do believe this is just one part of what God is creating. Is that he is exposing everything, and this is just the start of it. It's just the start of it. And yeah, that's where we are with that. I thank you for being here. Happy Black History Month. February 2022. We'll talk to you soon.